In 1940, in the fields of France, a single 9-man German infantry squad faced a French platoon of 40 soldiers. The French had better positions, more ammunition, and superior numbers, but in less than 8 minutes, the battle was over. The French platoon was defeated. Why? Because the German squad leader made decisions his French counterpart simply wasn't trained to make. This is the story of how Germany trained ordinary soldiers to think like officers, and how that one principle changed warfare forever. To understand this, we need to look at 3 things: the training system that created these independent thinkers, the squad organization that enabled rapid fire and movement, and the real combat examples that prove why this approach dominated. The early years of World War II will be focusing on the standard German infantry squad from 1939 to 1941, before equipment shortages forced them to change. So, what do most videos about German tactics get wrong? They talk about Auftragstaktik as if it were just another tactic. It wasn't. It was a culture, a philosophy drilled into every soldier through training. While Allied armies trained their men to follow orders to the letter, German training was designed to create problem solvers. A German recruit spent a full 6 months in basic training, but unlike the Allied focus on drill and obedience, this training emphasized making decisions under pressure. Imagine a training exercise from 1939. A squad leader, maybe a corporal with just 2 years of service, receives this order: enemy machine gun nest is preventing our advance. Neutralize it. The squad leader has to decide. Should they flank? Use suppressive fire, smoke grenades. The training officer wasn't grading him on choosing the right answer. He was evaluating the decision-making process itself. This created something revolutionary: non-commissioned officers, or NCOs, who could adapt on the fly without waiting for new orders from up the chain. When a French lieutenant was killed, his platoon often froze, leaderless. But when a German squad leader fell, the next senior soldier would immediately take command and continue the mission, because he understood the intent, not just the specific orders. Now let's look at the squad itself. The standard German infantry squad had 9 men, and it was all built around one weapon: the MG-34 machine gun. This wasn't just about firepower. It was a tactical system. The squad was split into 2 teams, a 4-man MG team and a 5-man rifle group, which included the squad leader. And here's the critical detail that often gets missed. This organization forced decentralized decisions. The MG team leader, usually just a senior private, controlled the squad's most important weapon. The squad leader couldn't micromanage him because he was with the rifle group, often 50 meters away during a firefight. This physical separation meant the MG team had to make its own independent decisions about where to shoot, what to target, and how to manage their ammunition. Here's how it would play out. The squad leader spots an objective, say an enemy position, 200 meters ahead. He gives the MG team leader a mission command: suppress that position while we flank left. The MG team leader then decides the best firing position, the rate of fire, and when to move forward. The squad leader trusts him completely and focuses on maneuvering the rifle group. Compare that to Allied squads, where the leader directly controlled the automatic weapon. American bar gunners and British Bren gunners usually fired only when told, but German MG teams initiated fire based on their own tactical judgment. This created an incredible tempo. While Allied squads were waiting for orders, German squads were already moving, already fighting. The MG team would lay down suppressive fire, and the rifle group would maneuver to close with the enemy. The French or British soldiers would suddenly find themselves taking fire from multiple directions before they even had time to react. The rifle group, armed with bolt-action Carabiner 98K rifles and grenades, wasn't there for sustained fire. Their job was to get close and finish the fight while the machine gun provided cover. This is fire and movement at its most basic, but executed with a speed that Allied forces simply couldn't match. Let's look at a specific engagement from May 1940 near Sedan that shows exactly why this system was so dominant. A German infantry company runs into a French defensive position. It's about 80 soldiers from 2 platoons dug in with machine guns, defending a village crossroads. The German company commander gives his platoon leaders the mission intent: secure the crossroads by 1400 hours. No complex plan, just the goal. Each platoon leader then develops his own approach. The leader of the 3rd platoon spots a weakness. The French have great fields of fire to their front, but their left flank is exposed by a tree line. He gives mission-type orders to his 4 squad leaders. 1st and 2nd squads suppress from the trees. 3rd and 4th squads flank through that drainage ditch on the left. We secure the crossroads in 20 minutes. Now, watch what happens at the squad level. This is where Auftragstaktik becomes reality. The leader of 3rd Squad moves his 9 men through the drainage ditch, 50 meters from the French line. They hit an obstacle. Barbed wire that aerial recon missed. Allied doctrine would demand he report back and wait for new orders, but German training taught him to solve problems. He makes an instant decision. He tells his MG team to set up and suppress the French trenches while his riflemen cut through the wire. He doesn't ask for permission. He doesn't wait. He adapts because he understands the overall intent: secure the crossroads. Meanwhile, 1st Squad's MG team leader sees a French machine gun shifting to fire on 3rd Squad. Without any orders from his own squad leader, he independently shifts his fire to suppress this new threat. That split-second decision buys 3rd Squad the time they need to get through the wire. Within 8 minutes, 3rd and 4th Squads are inside the French position, causing chaos. The French platoon leader is still on his radio, trying to get instructions from his company commander. By the time he receives orders, his position has already fallen. This exact scenario happened thousands of times across France in 1940. German squads simply adapted faster than Allied command structures could respond. So the big question is, why did this work so well for Germany when other armies couldn't just copy it? The answer is culture. Germany inherited Prussian military traditions that, after their crushing defeat by Napoleon in 1806, were rebuilt around a radical idea that junior officers and NCOs needed tactical education, not just obedience training. By World War II, this was baked into their military DNA. A German corporal received tactical instruction that Allied armies reserved for lieutenants. They studied terrain, fire coordination, and how their squad fit into the bigger picture. This built an incredible amount of mutual trust. Officers trusted their NCOs to get the job done because they knew they had the training. Soldiers trusted their squad leaders because those leaders had proven their competence. In Allied armies, class divisions often got in the way. American squads had great NCOs, but doctrine often required them to wait for an officer's approval. German military doctrine cut through all that. A squad leader's decision carried the weight of an officer's order as long as it served the mission's intent. This wasn't chaos, it was disciplined initiative. But this is what other videos won't tell you this. System had critical weaknesses that ultimately contributed to Germany's defeat. First, it required exceptional soldiers. That 6-month training pipeline was intense. As casualties piled up on the Eastern Front after 1941, Germany couldn't replace these highly trained NCOs. By 1943, squad leaders with only a few weeks of training were being sent into combat, and Auftragstaktik simply collapsed without the right leaders. Second, the system was brilliant for mobile warfare but struggled in static defense. When German squads were ordered to hold ground at all costs, like in Stalingrad or Normandy, their initiative-based training became a liability. They were trained to maneuver and adapt, not to sit in trenches and fight wars of attrition where raw numbers and firepower mattered more. Third, it depended heavily on support. German squads were devastating when backed by artillery, tanks, and aircraft. But when they were isolated, as it became common after 1943, they lost their tactical edge. A 9-man squad, no matter how well trained, can't overcome a platoon with tank support on its own. Finally, the system could lead to chaos. When every squad leader is making independent decisions, commanders can lose control of the battle. At massive chaotic battles like Kursk, German units sometimes became fragmented, with squads pursuing local objectives instead of coordinating with their neighbors. The Allies learned from this. By 1944, they had adopted modified versions of these tactics, but backed them with superior logistics and numbers. So why does any of this matter today? Because virtually every modern Western military has built its infantry doctrine on the foundation of these German tactics. The U.S. Marine Corps fire and movement doctrine directly derived from German tactics studied after the war. British Army battle drills. Based on Wehrmacht training manuals, the U.S. Army's mission command doctrine is essentially Auftragstaktik with an American name, emphasizing commander's intent and decentralized execution. The modern squad organization, the fire team structure. The role of the automatic rifleman all traces back to the innovations of that 1939 German squad. The entire cultural shift in Western militaries from obedience to initiative-based leadership is a direct lesson. Learned from fighting those German squads in World War II, the irony is that the very system that made German infantry so formidable now forms the basis for how their former enemies train their soldiers today. Ultimately, German small unit tactics dominated the early war, not because of better weapons, but because of a superior training philosophy that created independent thinkers at the lowest possible level. That 9-man squad that defeated 40 French soldiers succeeded because every single man understood the mission and was empowered to achieve it. Next week, we re-diving into the Eastern Front to look at Soviet squad tactics and how the Red Army adapted to counter these German methods. What specific aspects of Soviet tactics do you want me to cover? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into military history.